Building a house here on the Kilcher homestead is one of my lifelong dreams. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to have my own home. And it's been many years. I grew up here on the homestead in the tiny little cabin that my mother and father built. I spent a lot of time outdoors, but I always dreamed of having like a bigger house with a room of my own, with indoor plumbing and electricity. Many years ago, when my father was putting a conservation easement on this land, he identified several home sites that we were all of us 8 kids were able to choose from. And this particular home site is what I chose. The guest cabin here at Glacier View Getaway, that was part of it. Like when my kids were younger, that gave us a little bit of a start here. But I really wanted a house that I could build and design that would last for generations.
Catkin asked me to help with kind of the dirt work project part of her construction of her new house, and so that includes kind of helping her build a driveway access and foundation, digging the foundation hole, and just kind of getting everything prepped for the contractor to come in and build a house.
We're very fortunate to have a talented family, and of course, the key player is my husband, Tom, because he's been supporting this lifelong dream. And this was really a vision we had together of one day building a home here.
Hi, I'm Tom Burton. As is typical, military families tend to go where the wife's family is when they retired, and we followed that pattern. Our goals for the house this year are a little bit limited. We're not trying to build the entire house and have it completely finished in a season. We're spreading it out to be able to afford it. Of course, we can't get a construction loan because it's on an easement, so we can never sell it, so the bank doesn't want to lend us money.
Part of Tom and my vision also is we're working with currently with Heroes Healing Homestead, helping veterans come to heal in the wilderness with various programs. I've been doing that work for a number of years, working with various veterans organizations. And Tom and I have a vision of a pioneer and veterans expeditionary base camp. Part of my vision for this house will also be that on the top floor there will be a wide area where we can perhaps, when veterans come back from their week in the wilderness, we'll be able to have a celebratory graduation dinner here on that top level, here in the beauty of the homestead.
So our plan is to basically get the daylight basement built and build the levels of the house and cover it with a roof, button it up for the winter. And that's really all we're trying to do this year. Well, it's been a long time coming. Catkin's been dreaming of this for many years, and I'm very happy to be part of her dream coming true.
First step in the process is to kind of clear a path and build a road. The road needs to be built strong enough to be able to hold heavy gravel trucks and heavy trucks hauling lumber and materials, concrete trucks, and is really kind of a pretty important step, and making sure that the road is built strong enough to be able to handle heavy cement trucks, concrete trucks, and gravel trucks.
Tom just dropped off another load of gravel here, and that's going to kind of go in this corner to kind of round out the corner. It was a little too tight for him to be able to make it with a dump truck, which realistically, that's kind of too tight. You need to be able to get dump trucks and large vehicles through in a driveway sometimes. So I dug out that corner, and now I'm going to take most of this gravel and put it into this corner and just try to round out the driveway a little bit more, so when you make this approach, there's more room and you don't feel like you're going to go in a ditch. So it should be pretty easy.
When you're building a road, everything needs to be, at a good grade and a good slope, but once you start incorporating a house into that process, trying to get those elevations correct so that your driveway is at the right elevation for wherever you want the landing to your house to kind of become.
Lots of things going on. Beautiful day. Eivin's doing some final measurements. Here's more vehicles. It's glacier view up there. And a good day to be on the Homestead filming.
So once the road was constructed and it was time to start digging the hole for the foundation, that's when Randy really needed to come in. We needed to start looking at blueprints. I needed to know exactly how the square footage of the house, the depth, where they wanted bathrooms and all that type of stuff to be put in.
Well, kind of a red letter day. The foundation gravel is all in place. We have the builder, Randy Arndt, and our excavator and pipe layer, Eivin Kilcher, discussing where the drain points are going to be, all the piping that needs to go under the concrete slab. It's a fun day here. The overcast is actually part of what makes Homer nice. It's only about 50 degrees here. So anyway, the house project is moving right along. Homer, Alaska.
Well, I think like any project, getting started is the hardest part because you're trying to line up all of the material requirements, the order in which you're going to do things, how much it's going to cost. And there's a lot of unknowns, particularly the way Catkin and I are doing this. We're kind of designing it as we go. We literally finished the design for the daylight basement the day before he started working on it. And so getting all the piping in place was a challenge. It's working for us, and he's a builder who's used to doing that apparently. And so it's been a challenge, but we're moving through any minor squabbles we might have, and it's coming right along.
I'm noticing we're a little further away from the driveway than I thought it was.
Yes.
So I think we're going to have space to put in that window that we talked about.
In the office.
In the
Yep.
office.
I'm glad you're seeing things the way I'm seeing.
So you were right, Catkin.
Oh, I got that. Yeah.
Figured I'd get that on film.
That's exactly the way I was seeing it. There you go. Happy wife, happy life.
For this style of house being built, and I think what Catkin and Tom want, it's essential that we build it correctly from the very beginning, and you can't kind of cut corners at this stage. It's important to do it right.
I'm really glad that Eivin is comfortable in front of the camera because he's able to think and do things that we're filming. We're gonna have to get Randy where it's just like he's the guy on Tool Time where it's just his hat showing. So.
It's all coming together.
He thinks I'm filming him, but I'm really filming myself. Oh my goodness.
So today's update on the house, you can see the plumbing starting to be put in, and Catkin is here in her Overwatch position, checking out what's going on. You can see the culvert, a couple of things going on here. He's working on ground shaping so that we have good drainage, it doesn't flow down into the house. Additionally, he's starting to get ready for putting in the trench where the cable, electrical cable, and the water lines are going to go up to the meter cable, up to the meter base rather. Anyway, update, Homer, Alaska.
Every modern house has some utilities that are super important to its construction. Electricity is one of them, and water is one of them. And so I needed to dig some really deep trenches and get those put in. Those ditches were gonna share a power line and a water line coming down to the house.
We could have lived without water and electric on the build, but I think you can imagine having electric run down to the site prevents you having to run a diesel generator for days on end.
I should be out there doing it, being a manly woman.
And I am whooped. Whew. Feel free to take over.
I could, but you guys are doing such a great job.
So what we're doing here today, we're laying cable from the meter base down to the house. Eivin is operating the skid steer, doing a great job. It's down about 6 foot because that's where the water line's also going to be. They're being laid at the same place. Want to make sure the water lines don't freeze in the winter.
We're burying them both at the same level. Have to get below the frost level in Alaska. It looks like about 6 feet is going to be sufficient.
You know, about 6 feet is typically how deep we bury water lines around here to keep them from freezing. Through the winter time, the frost, it gets cold, the ground starts to freeze, it gets down deeper, deeper, and deeper. Typically, it doesn't go deeper than about 3 or 4 feet. In some places, it can kind of go deeper than that, but it's very, very rare. Usually, that frost line actually stays like 2 to 3 feet in the ground. And so by getting down 6 feet in the ground, you know that your water is never going to freeze in the wintertime.
The cable is really quite heavy. It's about 500 foot of cable. It's super heavy. You can't do anything with it by hand. We were able to unroll the water cable, or the water piping by hand, but it was tough. Now imagine that water piping filled with copper. It's just very heavy. One thing I learned on this build is you don't just lay it straight in the trench. You've got to put in some wiggles and curves in there, because if there's earthquakes, things shifting and moving, you don't want that cable being stretched more than just a little bit. So the skid steer provides us a way to lift it, to pull on it, to kind of create some of that slack that we wanted to put into the trench.
Trying to get the roll of wire down the hill is always a little bit tricky. They're extremely heavy, and I had kind of fashioned a system for unrolling it off of the forks of the skid steer. At one point, the skid steer kind of slipped, the thing dropped, and I tried to kind of keep it from rolling. The forks came down and they kind of nicked a little bit of the wire, which was a bummer.
The skid steer started to slip a little bit because of the rain. It's quite
I'm glad you guys are alive.
So anyway, when it slipped, forks jumped up.
And then it kind of
bounced down,
lowered it down.
See the red paint? So it dinged them.
It nicked those 3 wires.
Uh-oh.
That's why I
Okay.
put red paint on them.
We may pay to that. So that's just.
Wow. Well, that's only another.
Few rolls.
It's almost to it. So
Okay. Well,
it is what it is.
There's a word for that. It's something happens. I don't remember what the word is exactly.
I think it's
but
shit happens.
Shit happens.
What?
Beep
Do our
happens.
viewers have sensitive ears? Is that what you're saying?
Beep happens.
All right.
I'm just happy it's all getting done and you guys are doing the work, and that my dream home on the homestead is just a little bit closer to being built.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful that my talented nephew Eivin is
Thank you.
helping us do the work.
So I'd like to channel an actor I saw last year. We're super lucky that it was raining today. Just great.
You're like the camera. You love the camera.
I do love the camera.
I'm not sure
I
if
love
the-
you all.
I'm not sure if the camera loves you,
It might
but you
not.
seem to love
It
the camera.
might not love me. I would like to talk a little bit about when I was in the Charles Brown Peanut Show. I was Snoopy. Oh, no, that's a different one. Did the Wells Fargo wagon, remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, the Wells Fargo wagon is coming down the street. I don't know when it will ever. Anyway, I won't sing the rest of this.
Okay.
I'm traumatizing my wife yet again.
No, you're not. I'm surprised you haven't tried out for Pier 1 Theater.
Oh yeah. August is in the show this weekend and next weekend.
Yeah, we wanted
if I
to
try
go.
out, can I stop working for you?
No, that's your evening stuff.